a shout out to our 12s, because that was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. People were coming from Arizona, and the plane was filled with 12s. You know, they're going, Seahawks, you know, on the plane all the way to Nashville. I mean, I've never heard anything like that before.
Coach, another win yesterday. Thanks for coming in this morning and chatting about it. What impressed you yesterday? What impressed you with your team?
Wow, a few things. Just finished watching the tape here about an hour ago. I'll tell you what, our guys played really hard. You had a feeling, you know, it's tough. It was a noon game. It's kind of a weird time because it's central. You know, you're traveling. It's a long, you know, like we can't take these like travel days for granted. Like it's a pretty big undertaking, and it takes a lot for the guys to get going. And I thought the guys played hard. You know, I didn't think we weren't like sluggish. The guys are trying their tails off, and we fought, and we did a lot of good things. Like I think in each a little bit more like individually, and there's some really great. I think like we're going to show the team today. There's some great, you know, like series of events that are really complementary and that let us, you know, step on the gas. And then there's some series of events that weren't as complementary, and we're acting a little bit independent of one another. And I think that's how you end up with the score that ended up being. So, and it's a tribute to the Titans too. I mean, they kept battling, and the quarterback made a lot of plays down the stretch where, you know, some off-schedule plays that he made some throws, and so, you know, they deserve some credit too.
I've heard scouts use the term, Mike, stopping power when it comes to tackling as a safety, as a linebacker. Like when this guy hits, does what he hit from an inertia standpoint stop and then go backwards? Man, it felt like yesterday, whether it was Drake, whether it was Ty, whether it was Patio, whether it was D-Law, man, there were half dozen double-digit numbers where it was just hit, and that thing absolutely stops and goes backwards. How do you evaluate that? Do you look at that in that term of stopping power, or is it a measurement that you guys use?
Well, it's a great point. I thought our guys tackled really well yesterday, even in space. I mean, I know we missed the one on fourth down, but Reek had some other ones that were in open field that he made some good plays as well. So obviously we want to make that play, but you're right. You know, we take a lot of pride in, like, we want runners going backwards. You know, on offensively, we want to finish going forwards. Defensively, we want runners going backwards. And normally it takes more than one guy, you know, so that is really like a 12-1 type of idea of let's get to the ball, let's knock it back. And we knew this. We had a really good feeling going into the game that it was going to be an eat game, really, in all three phases. So when we talk about eat, it's really how you finish plays. You know, a lot of those hidden yardages that we needed to go in our favor. And defensively, we did that a good bit to get them to second and long. Offensively, I thought we finished runs going forward, which is a positive. There's a couple we got to get cleaned up. And special teams, I thought we played a great game up, an exception for the punt return. You can't live like that. You know, you can't live with, you know, living in the exception world. But so overall, I thought it was positive. But you're also leaving it saying, hey, look, you know, we got to play better in some of these other areas.
We got a ton of questions about your team that we'll get to in a moment. But it's twice now I've heard you talk about Cam Ward, and it sounds like you were pretty impressed with what you saw. Brock and I was talking about him all morning. Like, I was. Yeah, I was. He's slippery. There's a strength and a slipperiness to his game, and he's a hard, tough guy to get on the ground. You know, like going into the game, they were taking a lot of sacks, and I thought you keep seeing him improve, I guess is my point. And so it's, you know, hats off to him, and he'll continue to get improvement. And the arm talent is there. I mean, he's threw a couple balls in some windows where we don't normally see, and was able to move the sticks that way. So we gotta get cleaned up on that front. But
it's interesting. So I didn't mention McNair, but having played McNair a couple times back in the day in the division with him, there is just a sturdiness to him, and then that elusiveness. You're like, man, he shouldn't be able to get out of D-Lot's grip or some of these guys, but he did. Hey, can you tell me what EAT is? EAT an acronym as well? When you said this was an EAT game, or is that?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it all started with, you know, effort, ankles, and tackling, and then we moved it to offense, and then we actually, you know, CP's really the guy. Chris Parcher's really the guy who came up with it. And we actually came up this week. We're like, hey, what does the A stand for? And CP's like, I don't even remember. It's just a way. It's just a way of life. You know, it's just how we operate. So it's really just our kind of, you know, our just rallying cry of how we want to finish plays as a team, and having respect for the game that like the hidden yardage stuff matters. You know, how you finish plays on the sideline, how you finish tackles, how you finish on the right angles of blocks and where the ball is, and how you split double teams, all those things, that adds up. There's a huge difference in our league between 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6. It's a huge difference. So, we understand that those things add up over the course of a game.
Effort.
Did I answer that? Or is black out there?
Yeah, both.
Hey, I wasn't going to ask you about this, but it does lead to this, and I don't want to get you fined. So, so please don't get fined on this. But is there ever going to be a hip drop tackle called? Like when JSN, I think, broke the record, actually, that reception that ended up breaking the record, and it's hard to tackle guys, and he's really hard with his center of gravity. But if there was ever a textbook, I'm going to go high, I'm going to drop down, I'm going to go right to the ankle, like, is that just out the window now? Is that not something that's ever going to be called in the game?
I think it is one of the penalties. One, I think it's hard to call in real time because there's a lot of criteria that goes to it. So a lot of the way that the league has been enforcing it is through fines. That's how it's been showing up.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
I'm not going to.
So even fines for plays that aren't called on the field.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. It's just, it's the way it goes, as they review the tape and all that type of stuff. But, and I honestly, Brock, I didn't watch it through that lens of seeing, like, did he hit all 3 criteria of the hip drop? It didn't look great by any stretch, but sometimes there's some tackles that look really bad that by the letter of the law aren't illegal, so
Gotcha.
I can't tell you whether it hit all the criteria or not, but it will probably be a play that we turn in and get some clarification, so we'll see.
I'm going to ask you in advance for a little grace on this question because I'm not entirely sure how to ask it. And it's a little outside of what we're capable of knowing from our position, but it has to do with some of the personality of this team. We're not in the locker room every day. We don't get a chance to know them the way you do. It strikes me, and Brock and I have talked about it a little bit over the last few weeks, that from the outside they seem almost fun-loving. There seems to be a joy that they play with. Some teams play the disrespect card all the time and are angry and tough guys and emotional. And this team seems, at least from the outside, to be almost fun-loving. Is that a fair description of them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I understand I get this similar feeling from the guys. It's funny when we were like describing what we want our team to be, like fun. Like they kept asking me, like, "What about fun? Like, what does fun mean?" And I'm like, "Nah, it's not fun. There's like we're not having fun. We're working it." But it's like you think about it, you're like, well, having fun is like doing the process with the guys, with your boys, like, and then it's like doing high powered stuff and realizing like how it all plays off one another and understanding like the power of that and to me, that's fun. It's not just like fun in games. It's just like it's doing some great stuff with the guys that have a lot of respect for and you love, and you're trying to do something really special together. Like that, to me, that's fun. But our guys have been like the spirit we're trying to create of like loose and focused. I think is definitely on its way. I mean, the guys are shadow boxing all the time. I mean, they're having a great time, and then laughing, and competing, and doing all just enjoying each other's company. But then when it's time to, do what we need to do to, get our work done, they do a great job of kind of clicking in, and then we knock it out. And it's not like, okay, hey, it's time to work, and all of a sudden we're like super. It's just now we're back to focus. We're trying to get something done, and let's keep it moving forward, which is really cool. If you play the emotion card, like to me, it's like how many times can you play that card? It kind of goes against our, what we're trying. Every time we go out on the field, we're trying to uphold a certain standard type of philosophy rather than like, okay, like with this game, we're going to be emotional. With this game, we're not, or this is a practice where we can take it easy. Or this is just a walkthrough. Like it lends itself to some of that thinking, which you're trying to eliminate.
We know you were a dual sport star in high school. We saw your swings there at T-Mobile at batting practice. I said to Salk earlier in the show that now every time Sam lets the ball go and it's JSN on the other end, it feels like Cal Raleigh. Every time Cal Raleigh hit the ball in the air, you're like, oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to end well. Do you find yourself knowing the play call that's coming in and seeing the different looks? And if you get a one-on-one and the minute Sam releases it, are you finding yourself with that same, I'll play that fun card again? Or kind of what goes through your mind as that ball's in the air heading 11's way?
Well, I wish I would be a little bit more on it, a little more frequently, sometimes I'm thinking about what's going on next on defense. So sometimes my mind's in it, like what's going right there in those plays. Sometimes I'm locked into exactly what the offense is doing, just to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
But when it does, like we had the touchdown to Jax in the end zone. That was a hairy thing that Sam did a great job of getting us lined up. We were behind on the play count or the play clock. The earlier explosive to Jax was cool. You see how the play kind of comes together, and you understand that his protection takes a lot of time to take some time to let him get down the field. So how the protection holds up, all that type of stuff. What are they doing on defense? I was trying to call out in my mind what Denard was calling, because there's a lot of similar stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot going on in your mind, I guess, is what I'm getting at. But yeah, it's exciting.
Brock and I were talking about him earlier, unsurprisingly, given the record and given the game he had yesterday. And Brock was sort of referring to him as almost a quiet wide receiver, not on the field, not with his play, but compared to a lot of the top wide receivers in the game who can be noisy, who can be demanding, who want the ball, who can just be a challenge at times for the team around him to deal with. How valuable is it to have a guy who's a number one wide receiver that doesn't create a lot of extra noise?
Look, I mean, I don't want the answer to say that it discounts Jax's competitiveness. So, by all accounts, he is really at every level that he's been at. What all of his teammates and all of his coaches have said, this guy is just an absolute dog, and how he competes. And I felt that at Michigan when we played him, and then we felt it since we walked in the door. I mean, what are the stats in that Ohio State game? I mean, he must have gone for one. What was it Can somebody look that up quickly? It's 150.
The Rose Bowl game?
No, the snow game in 21.
Ohio State, Michigan.
I mean,
Lyle will get right on
he
that.
caught a lot of balls for a lot of yards. Let's put it that way. And some high leverage situations too. But look, I can just speak to Jax and the type of guy he is. He's just, I think he's very determined to become the player that he's becoming, which is really great. And talk about having a player that has a vision for himself that's aligned with the way the organization sees him, which is really cool. Shows you the power behind that. And the power of being a great teammate too. I'm thinking of you're talking in Cooper Kupp. This guy is Hall of Fame receiver who's a Triple Crown winner, and what he's poured into Jax as well. To try to build his teammates up. I mean, that's really cool. I think that rubs off on the rest of the team, including Jax. And then, and it just shows you the type of guy he is. He's just a great dude. He's a great dude that's really competitive, and he loves his team. He loves his teammates, and he wants to win. And one of the best ways for us to win is to get him the ball as many times as we can. But it's also, to have success on offense and play complementary, football and all three. All that type of stuff matters. And so he's bought in on all that, which is awesome. It shows a great example for the rest of the guys.
Okay, so what's your guess? We got the numbers. I know you football guys. You never forget some of these things. What's your guess in that?
Okay, I'm going to say I want to either say it was 9 or 11 catches for 143.
Close. 11 for 127.
That's pretty good.
Yep, you're right there. That was in the snow.
Only 4 years ago.
Yeah, by the way, in the snow in that game, but you never forget. That went the way of the Wolverines, I believe, though, did it not?
Yeah, we won despite
yes, you did.
Him not being covered.
Hey, I'm going to ask you about a guy that I've never asked about before, Jason Myers, and not about his field goals.
The kickoffs.
We got to talk about the kickoffs.
Yeah.
So we were almost comparing it to a golf deal where you now with the kickoffs have to have some distance control in terms of how deep you're kicking the ball and trying to get it to land in this landing area.
Right.
What has made him so effective at it?
Well, I mean, he's a really talented guy, and then it takes a lot of work to do. It looks simple in what he's doing, but I mean, to your point, it's very measured in how long the ball is going, and the direction where it's going. How he's hitting the ball is also a really, really cool skill. And I haven't talked to Jay about it, but it does feel like he made the adjustment, they were catching some of those dirty balls on the fly, further down the field, and he made an adjustment. So okay, now we're going to kick it to the back end line. And that really helped us. And it's such a high leverage play now is the kickoff. Teams are scoring touchdowns. If you screw it up, they could get the ball, at the 40-yard line or at the 35. And if you do it right, you're starting drives at the 20, 25-yard line, and that's a tremendous. I mean, we're talking about nerd out. It's expected points, but if you start a drive at let's just say you start a drive at the 25 versus the 35, that's basically like a point. Like 1 point for the Seahawks, So Like the one that the guy, dropped out of bounds. I haven't seen what the expected points on there, but it's probably around, 1.5 to 2 points for us and just in one play. So that's some big time stuff that really helps us.
All right, we can nerd out a little more because I enjoyed some of the football conversation last week. We talk about simulated pressures. You'll hear analysts talking about that, broadcasters talking about all of these different simulated pressures. Mike, years ago, I did a Rocky Long, the old disciple of the double eagle, and Rocky and then his tree, like their guys would find, and one of the guys, I said, frankly, how many different ways can you get to double eagle at the snap? And he said, we figured 42, somewhere between like 42 and 44 different iterations with all their personnel that on the snap, you kind of get to that front that they want to get to, right?
Yep.
When it comes to your simulated pressures, look, have you ever counted how many of them you've got in your voluminous playbook?
I'm going to disappoint you guys. We do not run a lot of simulated pressures. People say we do, but we really don't. We have them.
So what do you call them? What do you, or how do you?
No, that's what we call them. If we bring one, drop one, bring two, drop two. Like the way we define simulated pressures is like you're rushing four. You're just bringing an unaccounted for guy and dropping an accounted for guy.
Yep.
But we just don't run a lot. I think we called 4 yesterday, and none of them worked. So,
well, you kind of got 4 other dudes that are pretty good at getting quarterbacks.
We got to execute them better, and I got to not call them in crappy situations. So three of those are on me, and I'd say one of them are on us. But we have them, Brock, and it's a great tool. It's a great tool, and Tennessee ran it. A few of them yesterday that were good for them. But we just don't do it. We put a lot of guys on the line of scrimmage and to try to manipulate protections and set up other pressures, which is probably what people are talking about. Like we put 5 on the line and drop a guy, but a lot of the times it is like the off the ball player that is the guy dropping.
What do you call that if it's not a simulated pressure?
Just a 4-man rush.
Just a 4-man rush, but with a complication. We
call it with some sauce.
Some sauce.
Put some sauce on it.
All right, a little sauce.
So between simulations and sauce, you can present quite a few different looks to a
so that's cool because like for us, it's what we try to do. We try to make some simple things look more complicated to our opponent, and to our guys' credit, they can make that come to life pretty simply.
I love your quote after the game last night, talking about the depth on the team and some of the guys who have stepped in, and you said you were, quote, excited to see them play.
Yeah.
I mean, where does that come from? A true excitement to see the next guy up actually come in and play the game?
Well, it comes from seeing it in practice. It's really that simple. This is something that is really important to us here and we've had this, it kind of like clicked, earlier in my career, like you see, when young guys get a chance and you're sometimes like, oh crap, so-and-so's got to play, or like that's a huge difference than, oh, so-and-so gets to play, that's what we want it to feel like. And that's how, and so that's critical to building depth. I mean, all those things, but one of the things that I think that's important in our league is you have to get great reps and stack those over the course of the spring and the summer. Otherwise, guys don't develop as much. If you're just running card team looks all day and you're just stacking non-significant reps, well, you're not getting any better. So, some people are like, well, you can't take that many reps throughout the season. Well, yeah, what kind of reps, and who's taking the reps? Is it young? Like there's time and a place for young guys to get reps, and it allows them to. And how do you structure your scout team? Like, do you let them go play football, or do you put them in a box and tell them to go bang their head against the wall, or jump double moves and that kind of crap, which we don't subscribe to that theory. We want our guys to go play and compete and take care of one another, but they're working on their game as well. And a lot of times we want them to running our calls. So, but it's coming from practice. Like Patty O is just a guy that we have an ongoing joke here is like, when we're going to block him, he's the mic. We got to block the mic.
It's pretty good.
Hilarious
Stop
joke.
that kind of
That's
quick.
a really funny joke.
What, Patty O?
It's a running joke. We've got to block the mic.
Yeah, it's just like you're showing tapes like, hey, we got to block the guy in the middle right there.
Yes, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He was pretty good yesterday. Hey, I got a fun perception reality, and we have Thanksgiving this week. So I have one Thanksgiving question. So you may have injury questions. Good luck on those. But I have one perception reality question. And that is when you grew up in the Northeast and down in Georgia, and you coached in the Northeast and in Michigan, and you looked from a perception from afar at the Seattle football fan, these 12s. And maybe you watched games, and certainly you played the Seahawks or whatever that came to you. But, like, just growing up, and you had this perception in football of, like, okay, this is who the 12s are. And then the reality of living it as the head coach for the last year and a half plus, Mike. What's the perception versus the reality?
Well, let me. I made a mistake. I asked Dave, and Dave did remind me, so I dropped the ball on this. But like I wanted to lead yesterday's press conference. I wanted to lead this thing, and so I'm going to lead today's later press conference with a shout out to our 12s, because that was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Them traveling from all over everyone that I must have had multiple people tell me that the people were coming from Arizona and the plane was filled with 12s. That's crazy, right? Like. John was saying that his plane, they came down early to scout. Their whole plane was filled with 12s, and they're like, they're going Seahawks, on the plane on the way to Nashville. I mean, I've never heard anything like that before, and they were incredible yesterday. Just came out in waves. I mean, we almost anticipated them having to be on the silent count on offense. They didn't have to be, but I mean, what an absolute! I mean, it's just incredible showing by the 12s, man. So just so much respect. Thank you. That was big time. That was awesome. And our guys loved it. They were talking about it. So that was really cool. But perception, Brock, is like, look, we don't want to go over there. We don't want to go to Seattle. Like, why do we don't, and that's because of the environment that they create. So, and then reality is it's real, it's real. And they're hungry for a great team, and for a team that I think brings energy and is representative of the things that are important to them. Sticking together and being tough, resilient, and playing great defense, which is what we're trying to do.
Between hungry and eat, you've kind of led perfectly, like a radio host to Thanksgiving. Top three,
oh, yeah, definitely on purpose.
Top three items on the Thanksgiving table. Top three have-tos.
It is stuffing, by the way. It's not dressing.
Dressing. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yeah, stuffing. Okay. And then just pie, got to have all the different types. It's pecan, not pecan. Pecan pie. There's a spot for pumpkin pie. Apple pie, definitely with ice cream. Probably shows you where my priorities lie, which is not a good thing.
Carb guy.
Somewhere Spoon is listening to this and he's going to give me crap later because I enjoy ice cream on Saturday night. But turkey's okay. Ham, not as okay.
No. You ever put the cheddar cheese on apple pie?
No.
It's like a New Hampshire, Vermont thing.
Yeah, it's definitely not a Boston thing.
You never tried that?
No.
All right.
What else is there? I'm not stuffing's by far and away the best.
Yeah, you got to simulate some of those things on the table, Brock. Just some simulated sides.
Yeah,
this year
you got to take one side and put one side on, take one side off.
Right there you go, Coach. Congrats, nice win, home game finally this week, which is nice after a couple on the road. You get to see Sam's old team, which should be fun as well as the Vikings come to town. Have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, you too, guys. Thanks.
All right, there you go. There goes Coach Macdonald.